When Laura texted, "Don't call me," I just stared at the screen, letting the words burn into me. The glow from my phone was the only light in my office, and somehow it made the message look harsher, colder. I typed back, "Then don't come back," before I could talk myself out of it. I didn't mean it, at least not in the way it sounded, but something inside me had finally snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in that quiet, irreversible way a crack spreads through glass. Laura and I had been married 7 years. 7 years that began with warm mornings, dumb jokes, whispered plans for the future. And somehow we'd ended up here, tiptoeing around each other, arguing over who forgot to buy groceries, barely speaking unless it was to complain. She said I didn't get her anymore. Maybe she was right. Or maybe I was just drained from trying to hold together something only I seemed to still care about. That morning had been another disaster, an argument about something so insignificant I can't even remember what started it. She walked out without looking back. I wanted to ask her why she always shut down when things got hard, why she always made me feel like I was failing even when I was trying, but all I did was watch her go, the smell of her perfume lingering longer than her presence. When her text came hours later, I expected anger. Maybe an apology. "Don't call me" felt like a door slamming shut. So, I slammed mine too. I put my phone down and waited for regret to hit me like a wave. It didn't. What settled over me instead was a heavy, suffocating quiet, like the sound you hear when you finally stop chasing someone who's already miles ahead. I thought that was it.
The end.
But 5 minutes later, the phone lit up, vibrating over and over again. Her name flashed across the screen like an alarm. I just stared at it, unsure whether to be angry, confused, or worried. 3 calls went unanswered before I finally picked up. "Laura," I said, the edge in my voice sharper than I intended. There was a pause, long, shaky, like she was trying not to let me hear her crying. Then she said, barely holding herself together, "Please don't say things like that. You didn't mean it." I didn't respond. Not yet. I wanted her to explain her text, explain why she thought shutting me out again was the answer. But she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Can I come home?" It should have been simple. A yes, the door unlocking, a messy hug, maybe a tearful apology. But I hesitated. All those nights spent wondering why I felt alone in my own marriage came crashing back. All the excuses she gave. All the times she pulled her hand away as if my touch was too heavy for her. Why now? I finally asked. The silence that followed said more than anything could. Then her voice broke. "Because I made a mistake." Cold spread through me. I didn't need her to spell it out. The signs had been there. The late nights, the unexplained moods, the sudden need to guard her phone like it held state secrets. I told myself I was imagining it. Turns out I wasn't. "Who?" I asked, my voice flat, steady. She didn't answer.
Just a small, choking sob.
"It's over." I ended it.
"I swear."
"Just please let me come home." I leaned back, heart pounding but strangely numb. For months, I'd been the one desperate for her attention. Now she was the one pleading, but it didn't feel like justice. It felt empty, like a victory I never wanted. "I don't know, Laura," I said quietly. "Maybe you should stay where you were planning to go." Dead silence. Then, faintly, "Please don't do this to me." The way she said it almost made me laugh.
To her.
As if I hadn't been living in the shadow of her disinterest for months. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by the window of our apartment on Highland Avenue in Madison, watching the city dim into a blur of streetlights and distant noise. I kept hearing her words, "Don't do this to me," like she'd been the wounded one all along. 7 years together, and somehow we'd become strangers who only recognized the old versions of each other. Just past midnight, my phone buzzed again. "I'm outside. Please."
"Just talk to me."
I stayed seated for a moment, debating whether to ignore it. But curiosity, or maybe the last dying spark of hope, pushed me to the door. She stood there in the hall, hugging herself like she couldn't hold her own weight. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, eyes swollen and red. For a brief second, she looked like the woman I fell in love with years ago, soft, frightened, human. I messed up, she said the moment the door cracked open. I thought he cared about me. I thought you didn't. Her voice broke, and something in me shifted, not into forgiveness, but into a weary kind of sadness. And now? I asked. Now I know what I lost. She swallowed hard. You. A few months ago, those words would have been everything I needed. But I wasn't that man anymore. The one who waited for her affection like a thirsty plant waiting for rain. I had lived too long in the cold. I loved you, Laura, I said softly. But I can't keep loving someone who only realized my value after destroying it. Her tears fell faster. She reached out, trying to grab my hand, to hold on to something already gone. I stepped back. Don't call me, I said, not angrily, not spitefully, but with the calm of someone finally choosing himself. Not this time. Her face crumpled as she understood. I closed the door gently, not out of bitterness, but out of release. For the first time in years, my chest felt light. As I walked back to the window, the phone started ringing again. I looked at it for a moment, then turned it face down, letting it ring into the silence I'd finally learned to accept.